But Kim, I don't have any valuable experience. Girl, nobody is going to want to hear from me. They don't want to hear what I have to say. That online stuff, that social media, it's just a pipe dream. We need to practice real medicine. We need to be practicing with our patients. Have you heard any of those phrases before? Or better yet, have you ever had those thoughts? Well, you know what? I'm going to sit here and tackle those questions for you. I'm going to answer those questions. And we're really going to dig into the mindset when it comes to personal branding. And really, at the core of it all, it's imposter syndrome. So sit back. We're going to talk about imposter syndrome when it comes to personal branding. Hey guys, Kim here, and you are tuned back into the Digital MP, a place where healthcare professionals can come and learn about online branding tips. So, today, as you saw in the intro, we're going to address imposter syndrome and personal branding. This is by far one of the biggest hurdles and the very first hurdle that I have to overcome with a lot of my coaching clients. And even when I'm having just conversation with my colleagues, I tend to find that many people have these types of objections when it comes to being online, being on social media. And I want to address those today. These are some common ones, but I'm pretty sure we could sit here and brainstorm and think of some other ones. And so, one of the things that I want to start off saying is this: I've been a registered nurse for almost 15 years, and I have been a nurse practitioner for almost 11. And when I was going through school, entrepreneurship, marketing, branding, being a brand of your own, that stuff wasn't talked about. We didn't get any business actually, and it's very funny because you are an income generating machine for someone. You're generating money, your skills, especially if you are like a provider, like a nurse practitioner, physician, PA, you're able to do billable tasks. Your task, you bill for the things that you do, the care that you give, but yet we don't know the business of healthcare. And part of the business is getting business, right? And you do that through branding, you do that through marketing, you do that through advertising, but we know nothing about it. And so I think back on my own experience, that stuff wasn't talked about. We were really focused in on just the clinical aspect. I don't even think they even gave us a lot on how to even build and code, the coding. Like that was really something that I had to learn on the job, and still is a big task to this day. I still be like, I don't know what I'm halfway doing sometimes, but we didn't get that in school. And so I can understand why people will have objections, but today is a new day. We were already moving towards the online space, and there were people prior to COVID that were online and sharing tips and tricks. That's how you get the Dr. Oz, and you get people like the doctors, the show The Doctors, and all these people who have been like contributors on big TV shows like Oprah and Daytime, all these media contributors. These are people who were already online and in the digital space. But what COVID did for us is really usher us and cement us into the digital world. And there's no going back. And for those who feel that we are going back, we're not. We're not. Your organization, believe it or not, can see how digital solutions can actually help you do more and bring in more. And a lot of organizations, that's what they're interested in because that's what fits their bottom line. We need to see more patients. Well, if a provider can see patients in the clinic and at home, we can actually double, in some essences, how many patients that person can see. Because you don't have to commute when you're doing telehealth. You don't have to, you're at your home. So that cuts out a lot of time. And I know for myself, I've worked with organizations that we were able to do both. And when I did telehealth visits, I actually saw like double the patients that day, and so we're not going back. So the choice is, are you going to learn how to navigate this space? That's really it. So That's first things first. That's the disclaimer. But then for those who don't need that convincing that this is where we're going and that we're all going to need to be present online, for those who already know this, but you're like, how do I get online? Some of these questions that I asked initially in the intro are common reservations that a lot of people have. So let's get into them. So the first one is, I've heard many people feel like, I don't have any valuable experience. I don't have enough experience. Like, I don't have an expertise. I'm not an expert in anything. Well, you don't have to be an expert. And to be quite honest with you, if you have any experience working in a space, there is always someone out there that is a step or two behind you, if not more. So if you're a brand new nurse practitioner, you know more than a nurse practitioner student. You're further along the journey than they are. If you are a practicing nurse practitioner and you've been practicing for a while, there are things you're further along down the journey than that of a new nurse practitioner. And you can insert any profession there. You know, the med student versus the resident, or the resident versus the fellow, or the attending, or the chief. You are always a step ahead of someone. And that's who you would need to speak to. You don't need to speak to everybody, and you don't need to have everything figured out. As long as you are further along in the process, you have some experience to share, right? So you don't have to be an expert. And I will even say, and this is something that I often find with a lot of my clients, you actually know more than what you probably think you know. And some of us, especially if you've been working for some years, we are considered probably experts in what we're doing. Okay. Now, you may not be the person that can write the research and all that stuff like that, but there is something that you do consistently enough and have put in enough time doing where you can walk somebody through it without batting an eye. So that is my rebuttal to that first one. So my next point is, the next objection that I often hear is, nobody is going to want to listen to me. And this is kind of a piggyback off that initial point that I made, the initial objection that no, I don't have enough experience. And honestly, here, you don't have to master it all. You just really need to have something that you have overcome, or something that you have overpowered. You know, maybe you used to be horrible with doing IVs, but now you're one of the IV nurses, right? You can speak from your own personal experience. And again, like I said, there's always someone who is a step behind you in the process. You speak to those people. That's who would want to hear what you have to say. Let me tell you a brief story about me. And as this channel keeps going, I keep putting out content, you all are going to learn a lot more about me and my story to where I'm at now. But I am a country girl from Tennessee, okay? And you probably can tell I have this twang in my voice, the way that I pronounce words. If you haven't been able to hear it now, you're gonna be able to hear it sooner or later. But I grew up, and really when I got into college, I became very I became very insecure with my speaking voice, you know. And I think it was because I had a few people that were in my social circle that I don't think they meant anything by it, but they would bring up the twang in my voice, and the way that they would like impersonate me would make me be like, do I really sound like that? Like, that's not how I think I come across. And this happened to me a few times, so much so where it made me very self-conscious about how I spoke, especially in front of people that didn't know me. And as I, became an adult, start working and stuff, it followed me. You know, I would be in front of my colleagues, my superiors, and I would change my voice, thinking like, I don't want them to think that I'm this country bumpkin, and that because people equate, they equate not being intelligent with country, and I'm very intelligent, but I just want people to hear me and all that stuff like that. I was very insecure. And it's funny because look at me now. I have been a national speaker. I have not just one, but two YouTube channels. I've had a podcast with my husband. I've been interviewed on the radio where all they do hear is my voice. And guess what? It's been probably my biggest asset because unbeknownst to me, and what I did not realize was that my voice is kind of, and this is what has been told to me and what people have said. When people hear that twang, it's disarming. It's like she's down to earth. She's not putting on any air. She's just herself, you know? And people can relate to that because there are far more people out here that have accents and twangs in their voice. Lots of country folks, you know, all around us. And it's almost like they feel like I'm one of them because, in essence, I probably am one of them, right? And so for me, I have grown very comfortable with my voice, my speaking voice, but then also my brand voice because it's me. It is simply me. I can't be anything and maintain that other than just being me. When I am trying to change my voice, when I'm trying to be somebody else and have a persona of someone else, I can't maintain that. I can't keep that up. And it's not genuine. And people can sniff that out in you. You know, I have oftentimes, like, the consistent thing that people say about me and my brand is that you're very relatable, you're very down to earth, you're very real. It was like I was sitting at the table talking to my friend. And that's actually what I want to convey. There's enough stuffiness in our industry. I want it to be a place that's non-judgmental. When you come to my platforms, it's non-judgmental and it's relaxed and it's laid back because that's the best environment for you to learn. And also another just aspect of this as well, when we're talking about no one wants to hear from me, like I've heard people say, well, I don't have a lot of things on my resume. I'm not one of these like industry leaders or anything like that. One of the things that I am finding, and I actually had a company to say this to me, if you go to conferences, you find that there's always the same people speaking. And they tend to be all of the same kind of people speaking, the same types of people speaking. And when businesses are planning or organizations are planning their events and their opportunities and learning opportunities and things like that, at the end of the day, they're trying to sell tickets. And they're thinking about the user experience. They're thinking about the consumer, their customer. And if their customer is saying, it's always the same people who are talking about the same thing every single year, people will stop coming to your event. They'll stop coming to your conference. But when you can offer fresh faces and new perspectives, that piques the interest of people, right? Because people don't have to come to your stuff. So what initiative are you giving them? You know, incentive are you giving them? And people love to see the new kid on the block. Honestly, people love the underdog. They love the new kid on the block. People like to root for those types of people. And that's what happens when you have a new perspective and you have a fresh face, a new fresh face. That is why people will listen to you. So the last objection that I have run into is, well, social media is not real nursing, or social media is not real practicing. We need to be hands-on patient care. And here's the thing with this. There are many ways that you can be impactful in healthcare. And we know that. Let's not act like there's not many different ways that people are impactful. That's how you end up getting your leadership, and you get healthcare executives, and you end up getting professors and stuff. These people are not offering hands-on care. Social media in the online space is just another avenue. And when I hear that, and it tends to come from a certain type of professional, I'm not going to say, you know, what they are, because I don't want to offend anybody who's looking in on this, but, you know, it tends to be people who are stuck in the old way of doing things. Those are the very people that will say stuff like, well, this is how we've always done it. Well, healthcare is about innovation. Anytime you want progression, you have to think outside of the box. You have to think about what's coming down the pipe, and you have to think about what's coming next. And we of all industries have to be thinking forward. We have to be thinking about innovation and inspiring and how can we empower. We have to think on those ways. Otherwise, we will have a population who have old medications that do them no service. How do you think all these new treatments and remedies and all these new different medications are coming out? It's because somebody has thought, well, how about if we put this with this? What could we get here? And so for me, it's not a pipe dream because this, like I have mentioned, has opened up many doors for me, ways that I can, instead of, I look at it like this. When I first became a diabetes educator, I was thinking about, I want to see patients and I want to have a diabetes program and I want to see patients. But then I got to thinking, I myself am just one person. I can only see so many people in a day. So let's say I can only see 20 patients a day. That's all I'm limited to, however much I see. But if I, instead of seeing 20 patients, I educate 20 providers who could then see 20 patients apiece, you see how much impact that is and how many patients I then impact? What is that? Would that be 400? There would be 400 patients at that point. I would never be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? And so I I was always thinking about reach and impact. If the goal is to help as many people as possible in the most efficient and quickest way possible, the digital space is the way to go. Okay, guys, that's all I have today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss an upload, okay? When I upload, I want you to know when it's happening so you can watch it. And then as well, let's stay social. I am all things the digital MP. I think on Instagram, I'm the_digital MP. Go ahead and follow me over there as well, and we can stay connected on multiple platforms. Again, you have been sitting here with Kimberly Ellis, the digital MP, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.